Greetings, everyone on YouTube, and greetings, everyone on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us for another Built Through broadcast. Today, we are going to be discussing how to eat raw in the wintertime. So, you definitely don't want to miss it. Stay tuned, and we'll be giving you more insight and details coming up shortly. All right, all right. So, welcome once again to Tech Collective TV. I am Coach Shantae, and joining me is Coach Latoya, who is our raw vegan food expert here in house. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
I am excited to hear that and excited for today's conversation. I don't recall who came up with this particular conversation topic when we were brainstorming ideas, but I'm happy to credit you for coming up with that idea because, like I said, you're our raw vegan food is in house, and we're just gonna dive right in. So, Latoya, how long have you been raw vegan? Can you tell us a little bit about your background and your history with the raw vegan diet?
Yes, so I've been raw since 2015, so it's been a minute, and I started my plant-based journey 10 years ago, and then in the beginning of my plant-based journey, 10 well, it'll be 11 years in August, but because now we're in the new year,
Yeah.
but it's just a 10 years. But I saw someone, her name, she went by Blackberry Beauty.
Mhm.
She's also known as she was known as Nubia I, and she now goes by Lisa Goodson. But she was a raw foodist back then, and she may still be a raw foodist. I'm not sure, but she was my first introduction to eating raw food, and I was like, wow, I was impressed, and I saw how she incorporated not just the physical aspect, but the spiritual or whatnot. I said, I'm not ready for that because I just transitioned, but I was like, I want to try it out one day. I never thought that I was going to actually have it as part of my lifestyle, like full term. I thought it was going to be something I incorporated from time to time. So fast forward to 3 years later, in 2015, I took one of her classes. This is intensive. This is prior to, nowadays everybody do the online thing, but she was
Mhm.
doing it beforehand. So I took one of her intensives, and it was for like 30 days, and it was like the art of doing nothing. But one of the things she encouraged us to do was to eat more raw foods. So I decided to do that, and I did it for 30 days, and then I didn't stop. And now here we are, fast forward to, 7 years later, and I'm still, doing it. So it was not something that I intended to do full term. I thought that I would always go back to cook foods in some way. But I realized that I wrote in my journal that I had wanted to eat more raw foods, but I didn't know it was going to be the way that it came
Mhm.
about. Like, because not only did it impacted my lifestyle, in a beautiful way, but it led me it led me to my purpose, in a deeper way. So it's been an amazing journey, and I think the biggest thing is being gradual. I didn't force myself to jump into the journey. Some people do it cold turkey. They go from eating a standard American diet to eating raw. I've seen that happen, with some people, and then they end up going to back to cook with plant-based foods. But I did mine very gradual. I didn't do it based upon pressure or wanting to keep up. I did it based upon where I felt like I needed to go. But that's how my journey embarked, and I ended up, conceiving on a raw vegan diet, had a raw vegan pregnancy, did it during postpartum breastfeeding, and still doing it now with my daughter, who's 4 years old. She just turned 4. So that's my journey, and I actually, created my career out of it, also getting into coaching and things of that nature. So yeah, it's been a very in some way full circle, but still growing and developing too.
Ashe, that is so beautiful. And I love the fact that you were open and tuned into life and just allowed yourself to flow into that. And like you didn't fight against it too much in the way of like, oh no, I don't know how that's gonna happen. I don't know what that's gonna look like. Like you just allowed yourself to go into the journey and just have the experience
Mm-hmm.
and learn what you needed to learn along the way. And now you can help other people to transition to a raw vegan diet, raw vegan lifestyle, and see success, long-term success. Because essentially, anytime we make a dietary and lifestyle change, and we're making it for health reasons, we want to have longevity, whatever that longevity is for us. Whether it's a 7-day challenge or a 30-day challenge, or you want to just transition to that as your lifestyle period, it is best to have somebody that's done it before, so you can ask questions and you can get an understanding of what your body is experiencing and
Exactly.
why it's experiencing that. We spoke previously about when people transition to plant-based and vegan diets and lifestyles, how sometimes they get malnourished because they're not getting everything that they need from the food. So it is so very beneficial having someone on your team who has done it with success, and long-term success is even better. So we greatly appreciate your insight into the raw vegan space,
Give
because
thanks.
we would be lost.
Give thanks. Yes, it's definitely a pleasure. And I know for some people it's just like, how do you do it? Like, how do you do it for so long or whatnot? But I feel like there's levels to anything, and just go with what's best for you and what's best for your lifestyle and what's best for even your region. Because I started my journey, in up north, where my first week living in was in Delaware. My first week in Delaware, it was raining. I mean, it was snowing 8 inches, which is something that I'm not used to at all. Like, I'm from the South, so like that was a culture. It was a culture shock in many ways, but that was one of the main culture shocks that I did have, was the getting used to the cold weather. So I was there for about a couple of years before I went raw. I was already vegan, but when I went fully raw, I was it was it was getting warmer. It was like April, so it was getting warmer, and that's probably like the last snow for some areas, depending on which part of the country you're in. But for me, it was definitely a transition, but it's more of a mindset more than anything else. It's like having an intention as to why you're doing anything. Like, why are you doing this? Is this because you want to do it, or is it because you want to just you see somebody else doing it and you're wanting to emulate it or whatnot? You got to really just be real with yourself and see where you're at. So for me, I really wanted to do it, and I didn't let nothing stop me. Honestly, I was looking back, I'm like, I literally was doing liquid fast while eating raw, during blizzards, when it was like blizzards and stuff like that. I was
That
like,
is
what?
amazing.
And I was like, that's kind of crazy. But at the same time, that shows you my level of discipline.
Yeah.
But like, I when I reflect back on like how can you survive in colder climates, you have to be really realistic. There may
Mhm.
be, in some places, you may not have any organic or any kind of any kind of produce that is beneficial. So you have to really maybe determine what is best for you, or maybe you are maybe high raw, or maybe 50% raw, 50% cooked. For me, I am high raw. I was able to tolerate it. It wasn't that bad, but I will say that living down south is much better. Like, the seasons are longer, you get more access to more fresher organic stuff. So and I know in the West Coast is even better, so you have to consider that. But I one of the things I did do was learn how to dress properly. Like, that's one thing I learned
Yeah.
living up north. You have to learn how to dress in layers. So by the time I came back down south, I would be hot. A lot of times I'm hot Like, but we recently had some cold weather that just was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. But that reminded me being back up north. But normally I end up eventually getting hot and I can take off my layers, you know. But so you learning how to dress, drinking, of course, tea. That helps a lot. Also, you can make sure that you eat your food room temperature. Now, of course, to make it stay fresher, you have to put it in the refrigerator, but eat your food at room temperature. You know, you can get a dehydrator so you can prepare certain meals in a dehydrator. Even though it is time consuming still, you know, you can make your breads or other like raw vegan pizza or make some, you know, some vegetables, you know. So there's different things that you can do, but it is just really based upon what you realistically feel like is best for you, because you may want to eat raw but add some soups, you know. Some people may do that. You can make soup that is raw. You could put it in your Vitamix at high, like really high, to the point. There's been times where I literally on accident, I was trying to make sure something was blended really well, and then I opened up Vitamix and it was like smoke it like hot. You know, it was hot. So
Yeah.
you can make it. You can make your tomato soups, you know, and I've done that. Or well, cucumber soup, you may want to do that more so in the summer. But you know, you can have your different types of soups that and put it high, or your sauces and make sure it's a little high, you know. So that's the biggest thing that I have seen as far as sustaining raw vegan in the wintertime. Also eating more foods that are fiery and hot, like radishes, or you know, making dishes that have the different herbs that will make it hot for you. But it's just something that honestly I've just gotten used to. I know it's not for everybody though, but I'm used to it at this point. As far as the the winter time, it's not as bad down south and where I'm at, but I know it's not easy, but it's a mental thing.
Now, I do have another question for you because, you know, raw vegan is its own entity within the plant based and vegan lifestyle array. What even actually is raw food? Is it just you don't cook your food, you just cut it up and eat it? What is raw actually?
Yes. So raw vegan food is, of course, it's still no animal products at all. However, you are making your food is uncooked. So you're not putting it on top of a stove or in the oven. But you can also, there is some levels to it. So if you do like the gourmet food, where you're making your different breads or dehydrated fruits, or your pizzas, or you know, just different types of things. I've made like raw vegan pancakes, raw vegan cookies, all that kind of stuff. You can make those raw without putting them in a dehydrator, but you put them in the dehydrator. But there's levels to, even like in some books and some websites, they'll say no more than 110 degrees Fahrenheit on your dehydrator. Then you have some that says no more than 120, and then some said no more than 117 or 115. So I say like it varies, but I normally stick to like 115, 117 range. No, but definitely no more than 120, you know, as far as that goes, to kind of keep the integrity of the nutrients there. But that's pretty much the basis of raw vegan food. It's no animal product, and it's uncooked. And but you can have it you can have sprouted, you know, things too, or sprout your seeds and different beans and things of that nature. You can also have that. But there is, some people are fruitarians, where they just have nothing but fruit. Some people are like me and do a little variety. So it's not like I'm focused on one, like having a certain amount of everything, you know. And then some have low fat. They're intentionally doing low fat, you know, low carb, all that kind of stuff. So, but for me personally, I just like a little variety of everything. I'm not really big on just doing a whole lot of juicing, because some raw people like to do a lot of juicing, or they do a lot of just fruit. But for me, I can't do that. I need a little more.
I
Yeah.
totally get that. I love that awareness that you have about your body and what you need and how to give that to yourself. Um, I was talking to my mom this morning and I mentioned to her that we were going to be doing a talk on how to eat raw vegan in the winter. And one of her questions was breakfast. What do you eat for breakfast as a raw vegan? Because she enjoys oatmeal. That's one of her favorite, breakfast staples. So what as a raw vegan do you eat for breakfast? Besides, like the fruits and things of that nature.
Honestly, I've learned to keep it real simple. I honestly start my day off with the smoothie or a tea smoothie, things of that nature now. But you can also there is different ways to make oatmeal, but it ain't gonna be like it's definitely not gonna be like what you're used to. I actually have a video where I share how to make it, but you can make it with bananas and apples and put it in I put it in a Vitamix, and then I put it in with a little bit of water, and I put it to the consistency that you like it. Some people like theirs more soupy. Some people like theirs more chunky. I like mine more chunky. And then you can put like cinnamon on there. You can make you like hemp seed milk or almond milk and add that to that. You can add fruits and, different types of fruits to the oatmeal, but that's a way to make oatmeal as a breakfast. But I know there's other ways to do it raw, but like with actual oats, but I honestly don't eat it that way. Because I always question if that's really, if that's really, even though it's fine, but it's not, I don't know if it's really be considered raw because it's still kind of cooked. I guess it's just like the couscous, it's not really sprouted when I
Yeah.
say sprouted, but it's, what I mean? It's just like, so it's like that too when you have the raw couscous or whatnot. So, but I know that there's other ways. I just don't do it that way, but that's the way that I eat the oatmeal. But you can also I made pancakes, but you have to have the dehydrator. You may not have to have dehydrator, but I made pancakes with a dehydrator. But it's time consuming when you do things in a dehydrator. But you can also do acai bowls. That's another way to have it. But those, I find that breakfast foods can be anything. It could be breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It could be a snack. It could be a sweet treat. A lot of times, the things that would normally be considered sweet, it could actually be a breakfast in a raw world.
Okay. I like that. That
Mhm.
that was nutrient dense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to go plant based, a lot of ways to go raw. So we're talking now about some raw breakfast ideas, and I know that for a lot of people, when it comes to grocery shopping, they think about staples like pantry staples or refrigerator staples. With eating a more raw diet, what are some of the things that you would say are staples for your kitchen? And also, do you have a shopping guide with your company? Because each of us are Emerald Green Holistic Practitioners. We work together as a collective, but we each have our own businesses. So, Coach Latoya actually has a business called Infinite Nature, where she shares her raw vegan cuisine. So back to the question. Is there a specific list of staples that you have in your kitchen that you keep on hand? And do you have a shopping list that you can refer people to as they transition, whether they're doing it for a week or looking for something more long term?
Yes, that is actually a good question because when I haven't done my raw vegan challenges in a while, but one of the things that I would share, and I've shared it online, so I share it too online too, but is like a snapshot of the different things that I have on my shopping list, and some of it may be seasonal depending on what is available too. But honestly, I feel like your shopping list should be based upon what you prefer and what is best for you. But for me personally, I would say staples are like certain fruits. Like I have to have a lot of avocado. That's one of my big things. Having lots of greens, I mean, kale and spinach in particular. I like having those a lot, and having bananas, having apples, because those are like easy to put in your smoothies and things of that nature. And you find that they are used a lot in a lot of recipes, or just just something simple to have, since I have a small child, and so she tends to like simplistic things now. Right, as of right now, I'm sure it'll get different as she's a little older. But so I like to keep things like that. I definitely have. It's so much. I know some people are leery about nutritional yeast, but I do still have that. You know, I do have like the oils, like the olive oil. I like having my olives, sun-dried tomatoes. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. I like having even tamari, you know, for seasonings, or having what else? There's so much. I feel like I should go and look on my phone and see if I can. But no, but it's a lot that I have that you know, I'm so used to doing it that I'm never like thinking like, okay, these are my staples. But of course, like pink Himalayan sea salt, different spices, cilantro, my green onion. Those are the type of things that I have to have. Having my staples for my salads. I think that's the biggest thing. Having my raisins and my dates and the different nuts like the almonds, you know, sunflower seeds, hemp seeds. Also having my I just bought some some spirulina, chlorella, like all types of stuff. Like I like going to, one of the things that I love now is kimchi. I love like home cook. I like the home authentic, and I get mine from the farmer's market from a Korean woman, you know. So, and she does a lot of unique like kimchi. Like it's not just the traditional one. She does a lot of like seaweed. She does seaweed kimchi, beets, some with the beets, the different cabbages and greens and all of that. And sometimes with okra, she has done okra kimchi kind of. And I'm like, whoa. So I like stuff like that. And in the summertime, I, of course, love my mangoes. That's one of my favorite fruits. Of course, my watermelon. And I'm just thinking of my favorites. I love my pineapple. I love to sprinkle my cinnamon. So there's a lot of things. I'm missing a lot of things on my staples list, but you know, it's a lot. And that's why, like, when I do share it with people, it's like I'm like, oh, I hope I don't overwhelm you, because it's like a lot on a list. But I'm like, but this is something that you build through time. It's not like something that you have to get all at once. And then there may be some things that may not resonate with you anymore. Oh, and another one is tahini. I like having my tahini all day. For just different sauces or like salad dressings and things like that.
Okay. Now, you said something that prompted another thought in my head. So, when we think about the standard diet says you eat 3 meals a day: breakfast, lunch, dinner. You may have a couple of snacks sprinkled in between. Along your journey, what have you found to be like your optimal intake? Do you find that eating just 3 simple meals a day is sufficient for you, or do you find yourself eating more, eating less, or how does that look for you in the span of a day?
As far as, I really don't pay attention to honestly, the amount that I eat. I don't feel like you have to do straight up 3 times a day, because it depends on how nutrient dense the food is. So I can start my day off and have, you know, my tea and my green smoothie. And my green smoothies are like, I normally, what I put in it is, I put something like, I put sunflower seeds or almonds, depending on what I have. Then I'll put spinach. Now I know you're not supposed to, you know, it's best to not mix vegetable and fruits, but I
Mhm.
do. Okay. So I put my bananas. I may put some berries in there. I tend to put berries in mine. I put a protein in there, also a protein powder. I put ginger. That's another staple item of mine is ginger. I put spirulina or chlorella in there, or I put whatever. I put bananas. I think I may have said avocado. I put a lot apples. I put a lot of stuff in there, so it's pretty filling and pretty dense or whatnot. And then I may have a snack, or sometimes I just skip right to my meal, and just go all in. I may have 3 big servings of salad, and my salads are not like light, they're very filling, and I may have a dish that I've made, maybe like some kind of pasta that I made, or it may very well just be like some couscous that I may put on top of it. It could be whatever I have, or it could be by itself, and I may have 3 of those, like 3 servings, good, big servings, and then be straight for the rest of the day for the most part. Maybe have a snack, like so that's why I say that. I find that I ate more when I was eating the standard American diet, and no, I eat more now. I don't know. It just felt like I was eating more because I wasn't full. No, I don't even know. I can't even say if I was eating more. It just felt like eating more frequently, if that makes any sense. But I eat more now, but I was eating more frequently then because I felt like I was never getting full. So
That's
that's
a very amazing and important point that you tapped on, because a lot of times when we get to the side of eating vegan or plant based or on the healthy side, we do tend to eat more because it's lighter food that we're eating, so it's not heavy on the digestive system. And then on top of that, your food is nutrient dense. So you've got this nutrient dense food, your body is able to get all the nutrients that it needs out of it. So while you may eat more in one sitting, your body doesn't need it as often because you're putting all the nutrients and things in your body that you actively need. And that's why your body desires food. We don't desire food because of, the fellowship or how the food tastes. Like, our bodies themselves desire food for nourishment. So when you're eating highly nutritious meals and you're getting nutrients in your drinks and you're not getting, the unnecessary sugars and dyes and other additives and things that are in the standard American diet and standard juices and things that you can find on the market, your body is a lot more satisfied. And I notice that as well when I do like my green drinks in the morning. If I put too much spirulina in there, I'm not going to be hungry again until like 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. So I found that I have to be mindful of making sure that I do my nutrients in smaller amounts throughout the day, because my son is not interested in, oh, well, I'm not even hungry yet. Like, he's like, Mom, what are we eating for
right,
lunch?
exactly.
And we like just have eaten breakfast, and I'm like, okay, let's slow it down here. So I have to be mindful of that, because it isn't just me. On days when it's just me, I will do my spirulina and my green drink in the morning, and I don't too much care to think
Hmm.
about it from that point forward. And
Right.
surprisingly, the last week, 2 weeks, well, essentially the month of December, I was really feeling this strong pull to just eat more raw foods, to just take a short break from eating cooked food. And I actually felt really, really good. Like, my mental clarity was even higher. I felt just this energized, I had this sense of energy about myself. And it was like a lot of things that I was experiencing were just happening rapidly. And I was telling my friend in December um, how good I felt, and I mentioned that I lost my train of thought because I had a call come in. Um, Oh, so I had mentioned to him that I was going to do a raw fast for a few days, and I did my raw fast. And then, as soon as I started eating cooked foods, whatever it is that's been going around got me. So I went back into a fasting mode, and all I was doing was drinking green drinks. I think I made soup a couple of times, and I really just spent that time hydrating myself and making sure that I had the right herbal support within my body and all of that kind of stuff. And when I came to the other side of it, I did have a couple of days where I was like, oh my God, I am so hungry. I need to eat something. But after those couple of days, my body was kind of like, kind of leaning more back to the raw side of things now. It kind of feels good to me during this time. And it was odd to me that my body would be desiring that in the winter months when, traditionally this is a season of just eating hearty, big meals or big hearty soups with lots of potatoes or, whatever the case may be. But I'm feeling more drawn to, the raw cuisine and raw drinks and raw everything. And that's a different experience for me because I am still on the side of cooked vegan. So just to bring us in to close and kind of wrap everything up, Coach Latoya, what are some tips that you would give to somebody, 2 or 3 tips that they could use if they are considering transitioning to a raw lifestyle?
Yes, absolutely. Hold on one moment. Let me get my daughter a smoothie
Go
real
right
quick.
ahead. This is real life over here. We are mothers. Most of the coaches have children. So we are just walking a life of balancing our own needs, our business needs, our family's needs, and just the collective needs, and making sure everybody is squared away and taken care of. On my stint briefly in the raw vegan journey, I've learned a lot. And one of the tips that I would say, and it's one thing that Coach Latoya has touched on quite a bit during this segment, is listening to your body is very important. Giving your body the nutrients and things that it needs are very important. Knowing certain nutrients that certain conditions need. If you're taking medications for something, research what causes that condition, where that condition comes from, how you can support the organs that are contributing to that particular disease or illness, so that you are able to get everything that you need from your meals to support you in that transition. So back to Coach Latoya. We'll let her
Okay,
take
thank you.
over with her.
All right, so some tips that will support you in like transitioning to the raw vegan diet. I feel like this is the similar tips just in general. Like if you're just wanting to eat clean or transition to vegan too, is like number one is like understanding why you're doing it, having an intention and setting it, you know, that gives you the motivation to keep going, and you'll see the real value of why you're doing it, and you won't be so easily influenced to be swayed away from it, because you're definitely going to be you're going to be having resistance from people around you, your environment. So I definitely say that having like a set intention as to why you're doing it and actually writing it out, and writing out how you want to experience it, you know, like the feeling you want to experience, you know, having like a vision.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably number one, having a vision first. Having a vision, writing that out, then setting an intention based upon that vision of your journey and what you want it to look like. And then from there, just being gradual with the process. Don't rush yourself into doing something you may not be ready to. Know what your limits are, because if you go so extreme in the beginning, you may
Mm-hmm.
end up falling back very fast, and then you may be eating things that you didn't want to eat anymore, and or you may be eating things that are worse than where you even started. So, you know, and also understanding that this journey is not just about the physical, it's definitely the mental, the spiritual, and the emotional aspect. So things are going to come up, like the raw foods bring up raw emotions, so things from your childhood may come up, things in relation to your body image, you know, your body image may come up, you know, all types of things are going to come up. So just make sure you have the space to sit down and reflect, meditate, and also have a journal, so that you can talk these things out with yourself or with someone that you trust. So I definitely encourage that. And, don't be afraid to go online and look up recipes and try them out. Try out recipes on YouTube. I actually have a lot of videos on YouTube showcasing a lot of raw vegan cuisine. So that's where it starts. It really starts with you actually taking the time to get in the kitchen and be creative and make it fun. Because I know at times health can seem very scary, because a lot of times health is in relation to like having health conditions that you're trying to overcome. So, like strive to make it fun. And like you mentioned, Coach Shantae, it's like as you was eating more raw, you felt like lighter, more energy, and I'm sure you maybe was manifesting things really fast or something like that. See, that's what happens, and that's why I think I didn't stop, because I was just like, oh my goodness, So it's definitely a natural high, and just embrace the changes that are going to happen, and don't feel rushed to get all the appliances when raw vegan appliances. Take your time, do what's in your budget, and don't be, I don't know how Craigslist and Facebook marketplaces nowadays, but a lot of my stuff came from those places, because people don't they buy them, but then they don't use them, so it's very low. So like you have to be very mindful of like where you get your appliances from if you want to get it used. But sometimes you may get it from there and it's like barely used, but just make time, make a budget for it, and then slowly through time, like make a list of the things you want to get, and then through time you'll see that you'll scratch them off your list, and you'll have everything you'll need for your kitchen. But don't feel the need to have everything. It's because, like I said, some people buy it all and don't use it. And also don't be afraid to seek support from like somebody that does meal prep. And if you live in a big area, I don't live in a big area, but I do meal prep for raw vegan foods. But if you live in an area that has that, I would recommend doing that if you don't have the time to actually make the food, so, or somebody, if you have a spouse or a loved one that's familiar with the lifestyle, sometimes that happens, that can help too, so they can help make food for you too if they're into that. So that's like a general idea of like how to start the journey. But it's like be gradual with it. That's the biggest one. Like, don't jump the gun, and because you're going to be discouraged, you may get discouraged, and like do a lot of your own research. Have some books. I actually forgot to mention, like, Becoming Raw is one good book. It talks about the history of it, and then it has recipes in that. And then there's a lot of raw vegan recipe books that I have, but this is the one that I like to share, because her instructions is very simple, and it's probably one of the first raw vegan recipe books that I bought, that I actually like doing the different recipes from. So it's Live Raw by Mimi Kirk. But I have a lot of them. I think I have a book, a video talking about that on my YouTube, Infinite Nature, where I have the different like go-to books that I've used that are helpful. But yeah, like that's the biggest thing.
That is awesome. We greatly appreciate you sharing your insights, tips and tricks, what raw vegan is, how to eat raw vegan, some of the things that you keep around you. Because you definitely, when you post your food, I'm always like, oh, that looks so good. I wish I lived closer so I could get some of this food, because
Thank you.
it truly takes the guesswork out of success when you have someone that can assist you with the blueprint for success. So again, we give many, many thanks, so much gratitude for everything that you have shared today. It is absolutely 110% possible to eat raw during the winter, to eat raw during pregnancy, to eat raw during breastfeeding and postpartum. It is wholly possible to eat raw and live a full and healthy life. So we give many thanks once again, Coach Latoya, for you sharing your experience. And we are going to just close it out one more time with our Tech Collective outro theme. We will be seeing you all again on next week, Friday, same time, same place. And until then, you be blessed and have a great one. Peace out.
Peace.